The country's defense capabilities come under the spotlight as the U.S. Taiwan Defense Conference underway in Virginia. As Hornet attacks rise in Taiwan, we find out the best way to avoid stingers.
These are Independence Day celebrations in Tuvalu, one of Taiwan's allies. It's a festive atmosphere here, but this is also a nation whose very existence is under threat.
Plus, eye in the sky, how a Taiwan city is using AI to catch criminals and litterers. Welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao with the latest. Thanks for joining us. An annual U.S. Taiwan Defense Conference has started in the U.S. state of Virginia, looking to deepen security ties between the two countries. Our reporter Jaime Okan is there.
This is the Williamsburg Lodge. It's about an hour's flight south of Washington, D.C., and for the next 3 days, security analysts and defense officials from both the United States and Taiwan will gather here for the U.S. Taiwan Defense Industry Conference to talk about the best ways to defend Taiwan. Now, for decades, the United States has provided Taiwan with weapon systems and the equipment needed to defend itself, and it's conferences like this that look at where the two sides stand in terms of security cooperation. This meeting is organized by the U.S. Taiwan Business Council. They facilitate trade and business exchanges between the two countries. And the council's president says this event has come a long way.
This is the 22nd time we've done this event, and 2002 being the first year. Through that, the event has grown in importance as a platform for defense industry and for the governments to come together and talk about important issues, namely security assistance for Taiwan.
Now, this conference is divided into several sections. The first 2 days look at the current threat facing Taiwan, what the biggest risks are, and how the U.S. can help Taiwan. The last day then looks at specific strategies and recommendations for Taiwan to boost its defense and resilience. And at the end of the conference, attendees will take those recommendations and pass them on to analysts and policymakers in both countries in the hopes that they can help prevent a conflict. Now, that threat of conflict comes from China, and this conference comes weeks after record-breaking Chinese military activity in the Taiwan Strait. Now, officials here told me that activity gives you a sense of the urgency of the situation and shows the importance of meetings like this one. Devin Tai and Jaime Okan in Williamsburg, Virginia for TaiwanPlus.
Swarms of hornets have attacked more hikers in the north and east of Taiwan. At least 3 separate incidents were reported in New Taipei and Hualien County over the weekend. None resulted in life-threatening injuries. The latest incidents follow several other hornet attacks in late September. In one instance, 2 people were killed on a trail after being swarmed by over 100 Asian hornets. For more on the recent uptick in hornet attacks, our reporter Reese Ayers spoke to Matan Shalomi, an associate professor of etymology at National Taiwan University.
Why has there been an increase in reports of hornet attacks in Taiwan in recent weeks?
So right now in the fall is the most active season for the hornets. It's their mating season. They're going to be out and about right now. But it also might just be because there's more people hiking and in the area where these hornets are. The hornets are not really attacking. It's more a hornet incident, a hornet defense. What we've been reading, this is all cases where somebody has, or groups of people have disrupted a nest. So someone has hiked in an unfortunate location, but the nests right now are at their maximum population, so a lot more wasps to disrupt.
And what can people out in nature hiking in the trees, what can they do to lower the chances of disturbing or encountering Asian hornets?
One thing you can do is don't wear floral perfume. Like bees, they are interested in the smell of flowers. If you smell like a flower, they might come to you. Bright colors, especially bright yellow, might attract them. Also, interestingly, bananas. You do not want to be eating bananas or have recently eaten a banana. The problem with banana is there's a chemical in banana that smells very similar to the alarm pheromone of the sting of a bee or a wasp. So let's say you are walking in the forest, you're hiking, you see one wasp. Ignore it. It's a scout. Leave it alone. It will leave you alone. Now, if you start seeing a lot of wasps or you hear them buzzing, you maybe have wandered too close to a nest. now you are in trouble. Go in the opposite direction. You do not want to disturb the nest. This is how you get these major stinging incidents. One thing you also don't want to do is panic. You don't want to wave your arms around and try to swat the wasp. That is the worst thing you can do for a wasp or a bee, is to try to get rid of it.
That was Matan Shalomi, Associate Professor of Entomology at National Taiwan University, speaking to our reporter Reese Ayers. Health workers in Taiwan's southern city of Tainan put in extra hours over the mid-autumn long weekend, trying to get the city's dengue outbreak under control. The city is at the center of the country's epidemic, with over 11,000 cases recorded there. This includes 2,000 in the past week alone. Workers have been using chemical sprays against mosquitoes, the insect that carries the disease. Tainan Mayor Huang Weize has been pitching in with those efforts.
平常上班日可能我公务在忙，放假日我能够支援，我一定尽量来全力来支援他们。至少多一个人力，那就减一分疫情。
If a country loses its land, can it still be called a country? That's the question facing one island nation at the forefront of climate change. Louise Watt sends us this report from Tuvalu's capital.
One of the smallest countries in the world, Tuvalu is putting its culture on show to celebrate its 45th Independence Day. But this anniversary is also looking to the future. It marks the start of a new constitution designed to protect that culture and the nation as a whole by addressing the reality that Tuvalu is sinking. Most of its land is no more than 2 meters above sea level, meaning Tuvalu could be the first country in the world to disappear due to rising sea levels. If that happens and Tuvalu's 11,000 people have to migrate elsewhere, the government hopes that even without a physical territory, a new definition of statehood will mean the country can still exist.
We're saying that the statehood encompasses our history, our culture, and that will continue to exist in perpetuity, regardless of the impacts of climate change.
Tuvalu is asking its allies to accept this legal definition, and 10 already have, including Taiwan. The government says its new constitution is about future-proofing Tuvalu, having it recognized in international law as a state even with no land, so it can protect its assets, like its fishing rights. That would mean Tuvalu could still get income from giving foreign vessels rights to fish in what has been defined and internationally recognized as its waters. The new definition of statehood has support from people within Tuvalu.
I think that is a good idea to have that as a recognition of what we Tuvaluans were, because that holds a lot of identity for the Tuvaluans, the cultural heritage for Tuvaluans, and a home for the Tuvaluans.
So if their land is lost in the years to come, Tuvaluans hope their tangible culture, like these dances, will live on. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. chip giant Intel has formally turned over its mini PC product line to Asus, one of Taiwan's most well-known computer makers. The move is part of Intel's restructuring of its basic business strategy. Joyce Zeng has more.
Asus, a major Taiwanese computer brand, has formally taken over Intel's mini PCs, or NUCs, product line. Executives from both companies just told media in Taipei that they're looking forward to Asus taking it to new heights, whether that's in commercial, industrial, or gaming applications. Now, Asus has shown its commitment by setting up a whole new business unit. But this agreement with Intel is non-exclusive, which means the U.S. company could still team up with other firms in the future. Now, this is all because Intel is streamlining its business, choosing to focus on advanced chips in a bid to reclaim a former manufacturing lead.
As you may have heard, earlier this year, we announced that Intel would stop the direct investment in the NUC business, and instead, our strategy pivoted from a direct investment to wanting to work with one of our best ecosystem partners.
By bowing out of mini PCs, Intel is making its position clear. It's gunning for TSMC, the established global leader in chips manufacturing. And even though Intel is very much playing catch-up here, that's not stopping it from pulling out the big shots. Intel is trying to push for its own AI processor, a move that goes after fellow U.S. chip firms AMD and current leader NVIDIA. Industry experts say these are risky moves that could well pay off in a very big way if Intel does pull it off. Justin Wu and Joyce Sun in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The central city of Taichung is taking action to report and remove illegal advertisements with the help of AI. Our reporter Sandy Chi has the story.
Posting flyers on a utility pole, an easy and fast way to advertise, but one that's illegal in Taiwan. The city of Taichung in central Taiwan has more than 500 cleaners whose job is to take down illegal posted ads. They're also in charge of catching and reporting on people who put them up. But not even the 500 cleaners the city's hired have made a dent in the problem. They've removed over 5 million ads since last year, but new ones keep piling up. That's where AI is coming in. The city's using smart surveillance to catch people posting the ads, noting the time, location, and if they've driven, even getting their license plate number.
我们透过这个物件追踪的技术，我们会去训练说什么叫做广告牌。这个影片即时的那个片段一侦到以后，我们就抓了4秒钟，即时存档，即时用 email 呢。
The same technology is already used to track down thieves and intruders.
那现在我们把它用来做小广告的稽查，用这一个系统来测试哈。那目前的辨识率超过90%，超过90%。那我们希望让大家知道，我们随时会在不同的地点装设这个东西。
With its new AI surveillance technology, the city is putting people who post ads in public on notice that the days when they could get away with it are coming to an end. Leon and Tani Chi for TaiwanPlus.
After a quick break, we meet the Indonesian locals being pushed out of their homeland to make way for a Chinese development.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world. Charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030. A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus. For more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
At a time when the world feels more divided, a platform for diverse voices to come together. I'm Divi Gopalan. Join the dots. Be part of the conversation. Connected where opinions matter.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Voters in the Maldives have elected a pro-China president. Mohamed Muizu won with 54% of the vote on Saturday's election. He campaigned on closer ties with Beijing as opposed to neighboring India, the island nation's traditional ally. His coalition has backed Chinese loans and investment. Muizu's inauguration in November could see the country abandon the India First policy championed by the current president, a boost for China's ambitions in the Indian Ocean. Hundreds of people have paid tribute to the victims of last year's deadly football stadium stampede in Indonesia, with fires lit on the pitch as grieving relatives demand justice. 1 year ago on Sunday, police fired tear gas into packed stands of Kanjuruhan Stadium in East Java after fans invaded the pitch. 135 people were killed in the ensuing crush, including 43 children. 3 police officers and 2 civilians are facing prison sentences for the disaster, but many say this is not enough and are calling for more to be done. Staying with Indonesia, more than 7,000 people are being evicted from their traditional homeland on an island in the country. This is to make way for a Chinese-funded mega project. Harrell Hughes has the details.
This small fishing village may not be here much longer. The land it sits on is the future site of a Chinese-funded eco-city on the Indonesian island of Rempang. More than 7,500 people are being forcibly evicted by the Indonesian government to make way for the project.
Mereka udah ratusan tahun menempati, termasuk saya sendiri. Di Kampung Monggak ini kami udah 5 turunan, Bu. Artinya banyak kenangan pahit, banyak kenangan manis yang tidak dapat kami kikiskan dari hati kami.
Rempang is home to several indigenous communities who have lived there for centuries. The ocean is a part of their way of life and livelihoods. But now residents are afraid for the future of their traditions.
This is entirely in violation of international law because indigenous communities have to give their free, prior and informed consent for any developments on their territories.
Rempang is the latest Indonesian island to be a focus of foreign investment. The government says the project will bring in billions of dollars with a glass and solar panel factory. The plan is to relocate the locals to apartments on another island.
Investasi pembangunan itu nggak masalah, tapi janganlah semuanya dipukul rata. Katanya mau diratakan, digusur semua. Itu gimana coba nasib-nasib mereka itu? Atau itu berita benar atau enggak? Anak-anak sekolah di sini gimana nasib mereka?
To make way for the project, state forces, including local police and the military, have been deployed to survey the land and clear the villages. Numerous people from the local communities have resisted.
Daripada saya huru-hara terus sama masyarakat, sama pemerintah ini yang saya tidak mau juga. Karena saya juga pingin hidup tenang, Pak. Tenang betul. Karena sudah 1 bulan nih payah tidur saya nih mikirin kampung ini.
The relocation deadline has been temporarily extended as the Indonesian government considers other options, all while these small villages do their best to resist eviction. James Lin and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Rice farmers in Thailand are rushing to take advantage of global price hikes. But as Joyce Tseng reports, many of them are battling drought and debt to reap the full benefits.
A dash to harvest as much rice as possible and seize a rare window of opportunity. Thai rice farmer Sri Pai looks out at her field, hoping this next crop can pull her out of debt.
เราถึงต้องรีบทำไงทุกคนแทบจะไม่มองหน้ากันแล้วรีบก้มหน้าก้มตา
Farmers like Sri Pai are rushing to boost rice production after India banned exports of non-basmati white rice to tackle rising food insecurity at home. India is the world's biggest exporter of rice, and the ban has caused a massive spike in prices, an increase of almost 10%. For farmers in Thailand, the world's second largest exporter, that price hike is seen as a gold rush.
เกี่ยววันนี้พรุ่งนี้แทบจะถ้าไม่ขายฟางก็เผาซังเลยเผาฟางเลยเพื่อจะได้รีบสูบน้ำทำให้ได้เร็วที่สุด
There are several hurdles in the way, which is why farmers are forced to use cheaper, unlawful practices like open burning to speed up production. Thailand has experienced a severe lack of rainfall this year. It's meant a dry spell that Sri Pai, who's farmed rice her whole life, has never seen before. And agricultural experts say water shortages will only get worse.
This year, the level of water already reduced, but next year is going to be more serious.
Climate-related disasters and other issues like pests have also plunged several farmers into debt. Thailand now has one of the highest levels of household debt in Asia. The country's newly appointed Prime Minister, Seta Thavisin, has pledged to address this and to boost income for farmers. But analysts say actions will speak louder than words. There have been similar promises in the past, but farmers still had to rely on bank loans to make it through the season, adding to the debt they owe.
It's, debt relief for a while. But then when production season comes, what do? The farmers have to go to Bank of Agriculture and borrow money.
Still, farmers like Sri Pai are hopeful that the high prices for their crop may bring new fortune and free them from their financial burdens. Alex Chen and Joyce Zen for TaiwanPlus.
The United Kingdom has announced an almost $5 billion plan to build attack submarines. Britain's biggest defense contractor, BAE Systems, was awarded the deal to build the subs. It's part of the AUKUS security pact with Australia and the U.S. to supply nuclear-powered submarines to Australia by the early 2030s. This is largely in response to China's rising influence in the Indo-Pacific. Volunteers have built a new home for a polio survivor and his family in Yunlin County. John Van Trieste takes a look inside.
It's the grand unveiling of Mr. Zhang's new house. His old home, where he lived with his family, was barely more than a 3-square-meter shed. The family made do here in the central township of Sihu until Zhang's wife died 7 years ago. Zhang survived polio as a child, a bout of disease that means he has trouble moving, much less doing upkeep. His meager income as a knife sharpener meant hiring builders was also out of the question. So over time, the home fell into disrepair. That's the state the family was in when volunteers from the Formosa charity group found them and decided to help. It took much of August to prepare the site and 3 weeks of construction work in September. But now the home is ready to live in. The workers say accessibility was a big consideration in the design. All this work they've put in has left Mr. Zhang nearly speechless. The volunteers hope their efforts will be a turning point for Mr. Zhang and his 2 children, and they'll keep trying to support other people who are living with difficulties. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Olympic gold weightlifter Guo Xingchun has won bronze in the women's 59-kilogram division at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. The defending Asian Games champion lifted 101 kilograms in the snatch and 126 kilos in the clean and jerk for a combined lift of 227 kilograms. It was enough for third place behind Kim Il-gyung of North Korea and Luo Sifang of China. Before the Games, Guo said she was still recovering from an injury. Rescue dog Am and her handler Lo Haofang have passed a strict international search and rescue test in Austria. This is the first time a team from Taiwan has qualified for the exam. The Mission Ready test is known as the most challenging exam set by the International Search and Rescue Advisory Group. It requires the team to complete assigned missions under extreme conditions within 48 hours. However, Am managed to finish it in 24. A total of 36 teams from different countries participated in the test, with only 14 passing. Team Taiwan ranked 5th overall. Taiwan is home to hundreds of butterfly species, and one avid collector has caught almost all of them. Eric Gao takes a look.
Taiwan has over 400 different butterfly species. That diversity has earned it a nickname, the kingdom of butterflies. And this man, Professor Xu Yufeng, has dedicated his life to studying them. The beautiful bugs have fascinated him since middle school, and he spent decades capturing and cataloging them. Xu has collected almost all the species found in Taiwan, including these golden birdwings and the Papilio hoppo swallowtail, which is only found here. He's also discovered and named 10 butterfly species.
特别就只有在梅雨季出现，所以当初要做它的调查，感觉要跟太阳赛跑。对啊，所以最后要命名的时候，我就决定说，因为在追太阳嘛，所以就决定把它命名叫做夸父。
Catching a new specimen and preparing it for display is a careful process. The legs are taken off and preserved for DNA. The body is delicately positioned to display the wings, and a tag is added listing the time and place it was collected. One of his main concerns is making sure there's no moisture in the butterfly.
它没有干透，那你刚拿下来的时候看起来很好，可是湿气就还在的话，过不久就会变形。
Aside from his Taiwan butterflies, Professor Xu has also collected specimens from other countries, but he has no plans to stop until his domestic collection is complete. Howard Zahn and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
That's it for today's program, but if you enjoy what you saw, consider downloading the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of hundreds of animals waiting to receive blessings at Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine in New York. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.